So today, like I said earlier, we're going to talk about Kraid. We're going to talk about the Kraid segment, and then if we have time and I'm feeling motivated enough, we'll talk about Meridia and stuff too. Okay? So first of all, something that's worth mentioning. Samus cannot activate an elevator while she's moving. Okay? So if you're on an elevator and you push down and she's still moving to a side, it's not going to activate. Alright? However, if she's stationary and you push down, the elevator will activate. The fastest way to do this room is to do a very short run crouch, like this, and shoot the bottom block. But if you happen to push down before you actually start running, you're just going to go back down the elevator. So that's kind of risky. The safer thing to do is definitely to run over and just roll through like this, okay? The difference here is pretty minimal. There's also, I think Oates was playing around with like a mock like this. Don't actually know. 554, yo, Oates the prodigy. Sick, and that's also safer. You just might bonk a super and feel bad. Well, my splice is... it sucks now. Splice sucks. Gotta redo it. Man, I had something else to say. Getting up here, actually, there's a few different things you can do. You can just run and jump. Or you can do a straight jump and do a down grab. Or, a lot of the time you're gonna end up landing in morph, like you're gonna soft morph here, so then you do a crouch jump. The thing about, shooting as you ledge grab... Watch, I won't be able to recreate it here. Sometimes you're just gonna miss the door. So I used to do the shot like that, as I would like do a down grab. And then there were situations where I'd miss the door, so I stopped doing that as much. Okay, who cares? Who cares, Zeni? Who cares? That's what would happen. Alright. That's what would frickin' happen. Shoot down. Like a scrub. Okay. Or angle down, yeah. Heck this room sucks. Okay. You want to do a wall jump check into this door. Alright. And then immediately upon entering, you want to hold down and shoot. And you'll get this guy. And fall through the floor. And then if you do a soft morph and delay it just a bit, you'll also grab whatever he drops. You can also just bounce on purpose, I think, and you'll get it, but that's slower. If you bounce, also, like, it's not just that it's slower because you're bouncing, but also, like, moving through the rest of the room is a little harder. Whereas with the soft morph, basically you can just roll off and then hold left as you're falling down through this hole, and Samus will kind of weave down through here. You want to place a bomb as soon as you land on the floor in this corner. And then basically you have two different options here. One of them is a little harder, but definitely worth it. And the other one is easier, but a little bit slower. So the slower, easier one... I don't know if it's actually easier, come to think of it. Basically, you can either try and do a mock ball, which is kind of hard. Okay, through here, like this. And then you shoot the door. Hey, Yoho. You shoot the door and jump on through. Okay. Or you can just do a roll away, roll through thing, which I think I talked about in one of the last segments, where you're basically taking advantage of Samus's speed. Thank you for gifting a sub to Yoho. The faster strat, and I actually really like it, it's not as hard as it looks. Basically, after you place this bomb, you want to jump up. We need to save here. You want to jump up, and you want to shoot as Samus is coming down, and then roll to the right after a sophomore. And you'll open the door that way. This only works with Wave Beam. I mean, like, if you have, like, Spacer Wave or Plasma Wave, it'll work. But obviously, if you don't have Wave, you can't shoot through the wall. So, like, you wouldn't be able to do this in a Kraid first category. But yeah. This is what I would recommend, personally. So, basically, yeah, you just want to shoot as Samus is falling down. You want to purposely bonk the ceiling and then shoot as she's falling, and then jump up through. Also, you want to have a single missile selected here, so you want a blinking missile. You can either do that after you jump through or before. The problem is, if you miss a shot before, then you either have to open the door with a missile and redo it, or you have to deselect, open the door, and then reselect. So just keep that in mind. See, so like here, if I'd done it, that would have been bad, but... Okay, so you want to jump through the door with your blinking missile. And then this room is deceptively difficult. You want to shoot this key hunter with your one missile. Hey, Nimex. I just hold up and right on the D-pad here. But depending on your controller layout, you might be able to hold angle up instead. I piano this room, so that's why I do that way. And then basically, you just want to run until Samus stops. Sorry, you want to shoot the key hunter, and then you want to angle down and shoot. Basically, immediately after that. Again, since we have Wave Beam, we can hit the hole in the floor. As soon as Samus falls in the hole, you want to aim down, and that will avoid the next key hunter from bonking you, because you're shrinking your hitbox as you fall down through. And then you would think that you'd want to like try and weave down through this. And if I remember correctly, there is actually an optimal version of doing that. But if you do a jump here instead, you're going to fix the door transition. See, so we didn't actually, the door didn't have to move at all for that transition, so it was 57. The reason it was longer is because it was a music change transition, so. Hey, Zach Wack. So that was good. Whereas if you didn't jump off, the door has to fix a bit. 76. And if you do like a morph thing, oops. 88. But like I mentioned, there is a weave here, so we can check that real fast if I can do it. There we go. That was a 68 frame transition, so that added 11 frames to the transition. And it was a 312 compared to, not a 312 compared to a 328. Or a 329. So in that case, that weave was better. However, generally you're not going to have that kind of a turnaround, and also I think you can actually make this more optimal. The little spin jump thing. So, see, that was a 331. Generally, yeah, you're gonna want to drop down, do the spin jump, and run through. Be careful saving state going into this next room, because if you do it at the wrong time, you can actually soft lock your game, your practice ROM. Basically, you just want to make sure you don't save state until you see that Samus is actually loading into the room, and then it's safe. Okay. Shoot as you're running off of this corner here, and you want to shoot each of the rest of these pirates with 2 shots each. As long as you time your shots correctly, you'll hit all of them. There's also certain situations where sometimes, like, your first shot will go over, over the first pirate but hit the second. Or you can also angle down and shoot. But yeah, basically you just want to delay your shot a little bit. Okay. Alternatively, you can use missiles, 1 each. But usually you want to save your missiles here. And then, this is a strat that I struggled with for a while. So I'm going to try and explain it in a way that whoever's watching this won't have to struggle with it. Basically, what we want to do, we want to hit Mini Kraid and open the door in a way that allows us to jump through the door with all of this speed. Okay. But see there, we bonked the door, and that should never happen, pretty much. The easiest way to avoid that, honestly, so after these first 3 pirates, you want to select missiles, okay? And then you want to shoot 2 missiles as you are passing this right set of teeth here. Okay. And if you can train your brain to hold shoot after the second missile, come on, man. And then you switch to power bombs while you're still holding shoot, Samus will shoot immediately as you switch. So, see, we have our missiles on, right? We shoot twice, and then we switch to supers. We're still holding shoot, and then we switch to power bombs. She immediately shoots a wave beam. So you don't even have to time your shot, really. You just want to focus on shooting 2 missiles and then switching to power bombs. And that will open the door for you, and it will open it basically as quickly as you can. You don't want to shoot your missiles too early, or else one of them is going to despawn. So, in that situation, what happens is, since Mini Kraid isn't dead when we shoot with Wave Beam, it gets caught by Mini Kraid instead of opening the door. Okay. And then the hardest part is obviously actually making the jump through the door, which is just something that, like, I've used a few different cues for it over the years. I mean, technically it has been years, right? But I've really only been grinding this for a couple of years. I find it easiest just to focus on when you're passing Mini Kraid or his drops. That's kind of when you want to time your jump. But if you're anticipating, this is kind of like Lava Spark, actually. If you're anticipating the jump, you're going to do it too early. And if you don't do it quickly enough, you're going to bonk, right? So it is kind of a delicate balance. But the main thing is just that you want to make sure that your wave beam is opening the door early enough that you won't bonk going through it. Now here's another thing. When you're practicing this room with the practice ROM, you want to make sure that you're doing it with blinking doors, because blinking doors open faster than non-blinking doors. Trying to think of a good way to illustrate that, but like, if you pay attention to how quickly this door opens, pretty fast, where that door opens a lot more slowly. And after you open a blinking door, it changes into a regular door. So if you're ever practicing this room and you keep bonking the door and you can't figure out why, make sure it's a blinking door. Because it's pretty hard to bonk the door. Pretty hard to bonk the door when it's blinking. Okay. Alright, so assuming you get the full jump into the next room. Oops. It will carry you all the way across over here. At that point, you just want to turn left. You want to select supers, turn left, damage boost, shoot the eye door. If you don't get the speedy jump through, for whatever reason, let's say we bonked, right? Oh no, we bonked. You just want to run through. You can still do a jump across and boost the same way. You just have to actually focus on getting the jump across there. So we select supers, boost, hit the eye door. And here's the thing about this damage boost. You don't actually want to hold this damage boost the entire way, because notice the eye door activates as soon as we cross this gap. So we can shoot it as soon as we cross the gap, right? But if you damage boost the whole way, you're actually not shooting it as early as you could. And after you shoot the eye door, you have to wait for it to despawn. Notice it blinks for a little while before it disappears and you can actually open the door. See, so we're stuck here waiting, right? Where if you shoot it, or sorry, if you stop your boost early and shoot it, you're not waiting for as long after you get up to the door before you can go through, because you're shooting it earlier, which means you can finish the room earlier. $332, $338. So it's not that big of a difference, but it does make a difference. Game, don't be like that. Anyway, here's another thing entering this eye door and the Fantoon eye door. You don't want to do this with the Dragon eye door, and I don't think it's really feasible with the Ridley eye door. You want to time your shot, and then immediately after you shoot, you want to do a spin jump toward the door, like this, so that you're basically you're spin jumping up against the door as it's opening. Okay. What that does is it makes it so that as the door opens, okay, I don't know if you guys know this. As a door is opening or closing, its hitbox actually changes. Where the middle of the door is open before the outside of the door, right? And that's why, like I was mentioning earlier, with the slower doors, you can bonk coming into this room because you're bonking on the top part, the hitbox that is still there. What this means is theoretically, like, you can get through a door earlier if you're, say, like, shooting through the door in Morph Ball. And remember that spin jumps have smaller hitbox than standing Samus or straight jump Samus, right? And so what you're doing there is you're giving yourself a smaller hitbox so that you can make it through the door as early as possible. And also you're priming yourself to be able to do a door check with the spin jump. Instead of like waiting, you shoot and then you do it. All right, I already have some Kraid quick kill tutorials, but I can cover it again. Also, I can cover a backup here specific to this category or other categories where you have wave. So we'll do that. Okay. First of all, if you're doing the 2 missile 3 super strat, you want to make sure you're in the right spot. Because if you're not in the right spot, sometimes the missile will be accelerating at a speed that it won't actually damage Kraid, because this game is amazing and it has no problems and it's not clunky at all. But anyway, the way to ensure that you're in the right spot, there's a free setup for that. Basically, you just want to morph, roll up against the door, lay a bomb, unmorph, turn right, and then remorph, and it will bounce Samus into the perfect spot. Okay. You can eyeball it, technically, but kind of what you're looking for. I'm going to turn the audio down just in case it's too loud here. As the screen is shaking, you want the right side of Samus's morph ball to kind of be aligned with the right side of the platform shape there. It's not exact, but if it looks pretty close, you know that you're in a good spot. So technically, you can also just eyeball this. You can just kind of inch forward where, okay, like Samus's toe is kind of leaning off, and we're more or less aligned with the right side there. Okay. But there's no reason not to do this setup with the bomb, because it's free. So just keep that in mind. Okay, something else to keep in mind. Kraid's lag is going to vary a lot. And the reason for that is because the way that his rocks come up out of the ground as he is coming up out of the ground, those patterns are based on RNG. Sometimes there's going to be more rocks, sometimes there's going to be less rocks on screen at a time. And so you'll hear people refer to basically fast Kraid or slow Kraid, and that's what they're talking about, is how much lag Kraid is generating as it's coming up out of the floor. So all right, so for the 2 missile 3 super strat, what you want to do, first of all, you want to have missiles selected. As Kraid comes up out of the ground, his claw is basically, it's going to come up twice. It's going to come up once, then it's going to come up again. As it's coming up that second time, that's when I time my unmorph. That's when I time Samus unmorphing and standing up, so like this. Okay. And then basically, you don't want to jump all the way up to the ceiling. You just want to jump high enough that you can shoot 2 missiles at Kraid, and have them hit more or less like on his eyes, and then again immediately below. That second missile, again, as long as you're standing in roughly the right spot, will damage Kraid's mouth in a way that it stays open instead of closing again. Because normally when you shoot him, he closes his mouth again immediately, and then you have to wait for him to do his roar thing. See that? So we're basically getting a free shot off. The other thing is we're basically locking him into a very consistent speed where he opens his mouth. And that speed is very, it's very friendly to the rate at which you need to fire your 3 supers. Okay? So I'll show it a couple more times, but basically you want to shoot 2 on the way down, and then after like a very, very brief pause, you want to jump back up after switching to supers and shoot 3 more. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. For the 3 more, basically you want to shoot 1 on the way up, 1 on the way back down, and then you want to jump and shoot 1 more. You can also do a 4 super strat. It is slower, and I feel like it's harder, but it is an option. So I'll show that. Or I'll try to show it. I'll probably screw it up. Yeah. Basically, you have to time... I guess I should talk about this, even though we already covered it. You have to time your super to hit Kraid when his mouth is in its second position. So his mouth is basically, it has a barely open position, then it has a more open position, and then it has like a wide open position. Okay, so that's barely open. That is the frame that we want to hit with the super on. That's what it looks like. And that's fully open. So if you hit him when his mouth is fully open, he's not going to get locked into place. And we're not going to be able to hit him with the other shots. So if you're going for the 4 super strat, you have to really time it to make sure you hit him when it's in that right position, and it's hard. Okay. But it is a viable option if you have 4 supers and you're more comfortable with that. There's a couple more things I can talk about here. If you shoot Kraid with a charge shot, oops, sorry. That locks his hand in place. So normally during the fight, it kind of opens and closes repeatedly. But if you hit him with a charge shot, it'll lock it in place. So you don't want to do that when it's all the way extended. Come on, Zeni. Okay, see how it stopped moving there? So it's locked in a fully... yeah, he spits rocks and charges you if you would take too long here. It's locked in a fully closed position right now, which makes it a lot easier to hit him with supers. Whereas if we hit him with a charge shot when it's all the way up, or partially up or whatever, then it might be kind of in the way. So keep that in mind if you decide to do a shot and 4 super strat. And then I mentioned a backup scenario here. Sometimes you're going to get here with no missiles, or you're going to get here with, you know, like Well, yeah, no missiles, basically. Here's the great thing about us having Wave Beam. Since we have Wave Beam, we can actually shoot through the ground here to hit him. So if we shoot right here, notice he did his eye thing, right? Because we ended up hitting him through the ground. Okay. You can use that shot to basically trigger him opening his mouth, and then you can hold a charge shot. This is a 2-cat strat, by the way. You can hit him with a charge shot to lock his mouth in place, and then hit him with 3 more supers. And that way you don't have to use any missiles. It's a little slower for lag reasons, and also just because of the way that the strat works in general. These these rocks have kind of been in the way. That's usually not an issue, but basically the hard part of this is timing your charge shot, and it is like it's consistent as long as you do it correctly. He's always gonna open his mouth at the same time, like that. So yeah, I would definitely recommend learning this backup strat, just in case you do end up here with no missiles. Yeah, his hand was in the way that time. But yeah, you get the idea. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to cover with Kraid. It's quick kill. I don't think there is. Like I said, I have another tutorial on it. Definitely go check that out if this wasn't in-depth enough for you. Collecting these drops is kind of an interesting thing. You're going to see people do like this damage boost thing, or end up out of bounds. Well, not technically out of bounds, but kind of out of bounds. Something is happening. I don't know what it is. Should probably just quit streaming right now. Sometimes you're going to see people do a deboost off these spikes behind Kraid to collect these drops. All right, but there are certain situations where you can end up on top of the ceiling here. Okay, and that's what's happening. We're on top of the ceiling. See, so I'm shooting down here. Notice that the shots are coming down through the ceiling. I personally quit going for the deboost because I somehow kept managing to make my way all the way up here. Don't ask me how, but it's really freaking annoying. The other thing is I noticed if you time the way that you run and collect these, it's more or less the same as doing a deboost. $22.12. Come on, man. 21.26. 22.15. The only benefit to doing the deboost here is that if drops are spread in a way that's really dumb, you have an opportunity to come back and get more of them. But again, happened again, right? If I could tell you exactly like how to avoid it, then I would, but I can't. So this door over here won't open unless you're standing right up next to it. Okay, so right now I haven't jumped up yet and I'm shooting. Normally, if the screen were scrolled, we could open the door like this just fine. But since it's not scrolled, we actually have to jump up and be right up next to the door and then shoot, and it will open. It's just something kind of weird with the Kraid quick kill. Okay. All right. Run through here, collect Varia. If you come through the door the right way, you won't actually fall in that little gap, but if you do, it's not a big deal. Just jump up. And then as you're leaving this room, actually what you want to do, you want to hold left and shoot during the item acquisition. And dash. And you just want to do this little hop here. Okay. And I'm doing it wrong. It's cool. And that can save a couple frames compared to falling. Oh, really? That was faster? Game, would you quit it? There. See. You can save a couple frames if you do this optimally. Just a little short hop off the pillar. Across the gap. It's not a big deal if you miss it. This particular door sucks. Something that people don't always realize. Even doors that fade out like this, where the screen goes completely black, have transition frames. So that was a 68, right? Where here we got a 49. So you don't want to jump like super high through this door, or you're going to get a bunch more transition frames. Even though what you do want to do is kind of bounce through the next room as a morph ball, since that gets you across this gap. So the best way to do this is to kind of make it so that Samus is like bouncing at the bottom of the door. That wasn't right. And that was bad. Kind of like that. Okay. You want to bounce at the bottom of the door and skip across. So we got a 42 frame transition there, and that's kind of what we're looking for, is a 204 compared to a 154, 155. Some people used to mock ball here. That was also a 204, 200. Yeah, you're kind of looking for a bounce ball kind of through the corner of the door. We did it wrong, because we always do it wrong. It's just, it's tricky to get like an optimal speed and the right bounce ball through the room. But as soon as you make it across the gap, I have 0 dropped frames. As soon as we make it across the gap, you want to jump and do a deboost off the spikes. Sometimes, hopefully this never happens, but sometimes you're going to get out of here and you're not going to have enough supers. You want as many supers as you can get coming out. Mini Kraid in the next room is going to give us 4. So if we have 6 or more, we're good. But if not, we want to collect at least 1. You can kind of do a gamble. You can boost, and then shoot that bug to try and get a drop like this. And sometimes it will drop you a super. I wouldn't bank on it, but it's probably worth at least trying for. And then running through the door. But yeah, otherwise, basically you just want to damage boost and go back through the door. You want to select missiles here, unless you're in one of 2 circumstances. One, you are full on supers and you don't need health, or 2, you're really low on missiles and you have a lot of supers. It's not that one strat is necessarily faster than the other, but if we shoot Mini Kraid here, he's gonna drop us a bunch of health because we're already full on supers, so he can't drop supers. So he's dropping us a bunch of health. If we shoot him with a super here, what's going to happen is we're no longer full on supers. So now we have 9 supers, and it'll be 4 supers to pick up because the last one takes a little bit to spawn for some reason. And we're definitely better off collecting this health. Okay. But yeah, if you only have like, if you have not very many missiles and you don't need the health, what you can do instead, you can just select a super, shoot him that way. If you're angling down as you come through this door, you can just shoot twice with missiles or once with a super, and you'll hit him every time. Okay. Just make sure you're also holding dash. Alternatively, you can also wait until you run off. Shoot him that way. And then the reverse of this room is pretty similar to the way that we came in. The main difference is just that we're shooting 3 missiles here instead of 2 for mini Kraid. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Again, we want to start shooting them as we're passing the left side. That's why you won't want to angle down or wait, by the way. The left side of the teeth here on the ceiling. 1, 2, 3. And then as long as you're holding shoot on that 3rd missile, and you didn't shoot them too early, you'll open the door the same way we opened the other door. And you can jump right through. Okay. Cool. We're almost done with the Kraid segment, guys. Jumping through this door is actually important. If you just run through this door, you're gonna get owned by this key hunter. He's gonna drop down and wreck your face. Okay? Where if we jump through the door, we manipulate him so that he doesn't actually come down through the hole. So always jump through that door. Even if you bonk. Oh crap. Jump through the door. It's a little slower because, you know, you have to wait to land. Then you don't have to deal with that douchebag. It's less important in this category. Hey, Alpha. Because we have wave beam, right? So if you do find yourself in a situation where you're worried he might come down and own you, just shoot twice here. Or is it 3 times? I guess it's 3 times. Oh no. And you can go on through. In like KPDR, for example, though, you don't have any beams. So shooting those guys takes forever. You either have to like missile him or whatever. Okay, so we've jumped through the door, right? There's a few ways you can do this room. Doing that wall jump is best, as far as I know. Okay. You can also just jump up. You can like wait to land, jump up. Or if you're running through, you can like try and do like a weave thing. But the more important part of this room is to shoot to the left as you're coming up over the floor. You can actually do this with any beam, just so you know. I'll show that, actually. So even if you don't have wave beam, if you time your shot as you're coming up over the corner here, you can open the door, and then you don't have to wait for it. Okay. It obviously also works with Spazer, etc. But yeah, so the idea here, you want to shoot to the left and then do a down grab as you're coming up. And then I time my jump. I hold dash basically the whole way, and I time my jump right next to these, what are these? Vines in the background. I jump and aim down as I'm reaching the right side of these vines. And if you do it optimally, you can, not only is it really fast, like it's a lot faster, it's the fastest way through the room as far as I know. Oh, by the way, you want to have power bombs selected here still. But yeah, if you do it correctly, you can actually get the mock. You can get a mock ball here. Should work. Which is nice. If you don't want to use a power bomb, you can do that. Okay. Or yeah, you can use a power bomb. It does cause a little more lag. But I believe it's faster most of the time because you're going to end up aligning with this left wall. So you can, as long as the power bomb is on the left side, it's going to break this block for you. Like this. And then coming out here, you have a few different options. This is one of the few spots where I really struggle with the roll out, turn around as a morph ball, unmorph, jump up thing. And part of that, I think, is because of the power bomb lag in vanilla. But that's kind of what you're looking for. You don't have to farm these guys. Behemoth was actually doing a deboost strat like that for a while. He basically he makes it all the way up somehow because he's a monster. Dude, Samus, do the thing, please. But yeah, you can boost off that that Zila. Bet I can do it with this. Yeah, you can boost off the Zila and then shoot up and then just go through. But generally, I would recommend farming here. Because usually you're going to benefit from something. Usually you're going to benefit from either more missiles, or more supers, or more health at this particular point in the run. You do want to hit all of those guys. It can be kind of tricky. But then you want to do a door check, wall jump check through the bottom of the door. Or you can do a down grab and run through. Okay. This is one of my favorite strats in any category, really. So we're going to talk about this. It is not as hard as it looks. You don't see hardly any runners do it because people thought it was stupidly hard for a long time. I actually tested it out and figured it out. It has I think it's a 5-frame window. It's a 5 or a 6-frame window, but you need to do the setup for it correctly. So as you're coming out of this room, you want to be holding left and dash. You can land a little bit earlier with an angle here. I personally opt not to do that because it makes this a little easier for me. But basically you want to shoot the super. You want to shoot a super as you're coming out of this mouth here. Okay. I think I actually time mine like as I'm passing these 4 blocks. And then what I do is I immediately switch to power bombs again, so that we can shoot. And you want to shoot as Samus is passing this line here on the left. That's when you want to shoot, okay? You want to do a quick mock ball. And what I mean by that is basically you want to put Samus into the actual mock ball state earlier rather than later. Game, don't do this. Thank you. And that will allow you to get through the door. Okay? If you wait to do your mock ball, what's going to happen, because mock balls have a pretty wide window for when they can be activated. If you wait to do it, what's going to happen is you're not going to scroll the screen left fast enough. Your wave shot is going to despawn, and it's not going to open the door. Okay? But if you do your mock ball a little bit earlier, as long as you're shooting late enough, but not too late, you can open the door. And like I said, it's like a 5-frame window. It just needs the right setup. So it's not like frame perfect or anything, and everybody should do it because it's really fast. And it sets you up in this next room basically for free to do the speedy jump. Okay. If you miss that, which you will, because it is hard to do. Oh, that's the other thing. Like, there's no reason not to go for it. All right. I'll see a lot of people like not even shoot here, and that's just like at least try for it, right? Because what most people do to set up this next room anyway is they'll bonk the door and then run through. So like, say that you miss it or you get it, you're gonna be doing the same thing. Oh no. Unmorph, run through. Okay. Alright. So let's say we get the mock ball. We bonked the door that time, that's funny. Oh, that's the other thing. You want to make sure that you're jumping late. It doesn't need to be like the very edge of the platform or anything, but you do want to jump later rather than earlier, or else you're not going to have enough speed to keep up with your wave shot. So, hey, thanks for the sub. Was that a sub, not a follow? I bet it was a sub, not a follow. Thank you for the sub, Jello Chops. What was I saying? Oh, assuming you get the mock ball through this door, Samus is going to end up in basically the perfect spot for this next strat. But you want her to be aligned like with her toe on the front of this weed. Okay. You want to open the door, and then you want to run through, and you want to jump not as late as possible, but also not too early, or you're going to bonk the ceiling in the next room. So that was way too early. That was a little better. Kind of jumping through like the middle of the door. Okay. And if you have the right momentum, you're going to make it all the way up here, which is what we want. If you jump too late or too early, you're gonna fall short, and we don't want that because one, it's slower, and two, it's harder. Okay, so you want to jump kind of through the middle of this door with this strat. That was too late. Yep, too late. And then you want to shoot up and immediately jump off the left side like this into the next room. You want to do a wall jump off the left side of the door into the next room. Okay. Also, it's a little harder, but if you can train yourself to just kind of delay holding up, you don't want to do it coming out of the room or you're gonna bonk like this. So kind of delay holding up and then shoot, turn around. You can do like a down grab or even just kind of land on this platform here and then jump up through the door. That's going to be fastest because you don't have the extra time spent moving left on this platform up here at the top to get to the left side of the door. And you do want to go through the left side of the door coming into this next room. Okay. So that's how you want to do that. Now say you miss a mock ball, which most people probably aren't going to go for it anyway. You want to bonk this door, okay, and then run through. And then basically you just want to hold shoot and then press run. And I think you just want to do a late jump. Yeah, you just want to do a late jump in that situation, and that will also get you all the way up. So that's free. Like, that setup is pretty free. Just make sure you're not holding shoot and dash, or if I remember correctly, yeah, that gives you the lower jump. So you just want to hold shoot, and then after you come out of the door and you see that Samus is shot, that's when you switch over to dash. And you jump through the very end of the door, and that will get you the speedy jump. Okay, all right. This is another one of those transitions where you don't want to save state until you see Samus loading into the room. And we're officially into Meridian now.